Hello everyone, this is Hector, Road to Strength. Just wanted to do a quick video on foam rolling, more or less its importance and how it's going to make you feel better during your training so you can recover and get ready for the next training session that week. Now, the foam roller, I'm just going to use a normal one. This one's from Perform Better, but you can get foam rollers anywhere. You can go to Marshalls or TJ Maxx and get one of those grooved or rumble rollers. You can go on Amazon. Sometimes they have even the vibrating rollers. So there's just a machine or that's just going to vibrate and it's just going to create kind of like that massage feeling. So I'm just going to use a normal foam roller. Now the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to work from the bottom up. Okay, so what I mean by that is I'm just going to start off with my calf. So I want to think of rolling my calf as anything above the ankle but below the knee. So with that being said, I'm just going to roll back and forth, getting all portions of the knee, or of the calf, getting all portions of the calf. Now once I find an area, let's say for example, that's really tender, apply some pressure, get some blood flow to go into the area, and then slowly roll back and forth. Okay. Now, from here, I'm going to work my way up to the hamstring. Now, that's above the knee, and it's where I tend to tell people it's kind of where the hamstring meets with your butt, okay? So, from here, you're going to do the exact same thing that you did with the calf. You're just going to roll back and forth in that area, targeting inside the thigh as well as outside, okay? Again, think of 10 passes. So, a pass would be kind of going down. A second pass would be coming back up, so like down and back 5 times is another good way to describe it. Now, with the glute, there's 2 different variations, okay? One tends to work a little bit better than the other, and I'll explain why. You can either go with the leg nice and straight, and again, with the glute, you want to think of where the hamstring meets with it, and then work your way up towards kind of towards the top of the back of the hip. So, you're going to roll back and forth. Okay. Now the other variation is going to be with the right ankle on the left knee, and I'm going to lean over to my right side. Okay. Now what I'm doing right here is I'm just going to expose the musculature in that glute area, and I'm going to feel a little bit more maybe tenderness in the area because of that. Okay. So this one tends to be the one that's a little bit better in terms of kind of working on finding those tender spots and breaking up some of the knots and adhesions. Now again, with foam rolling, you want to think of over time either through inactivity or just enough activity that your body starts to kind of create mechanisms in place that kind of hinder the body from moving in a certain manner for a certain period of time, just because during training, you're kind of, you're tearing muscles micro. So over time, the body just needs time to recover. So this is kind of helping with allowing the body to recover, bringing blood to the area. Blood's going to help in that process of recovery. So I'm going to do the other side just quickly. So again, you can see what I'm doing. And again, working on my calf. I'm going to use my right foot as a kickstand again, just to kind of work on that area. And you might notice that one side might be a little bit more tender. In my case, right now, my left calf is a little bit more tender than my right. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it just might be a compensation for something. Again, if there's any injuries, please go, talk to a doctor, talk to a physical therapist, just to kind of figure out what's going on. Now I'm going to work the hamstring quickly. Okay, so I'm just kind of brushing through a little bit so that way you guys can see both sides, and then working the glute. So again, I'm going to go with the ankle on the knee and leaning over on my left side just to kind of get a little bit more of that musculature. Now, once I'm done, I'm going to work on my quads. Okay, so I'm going to show you from the side so that way it's a little bit easier for you to see. I'm going to put the foam roller right in front of the knees, and I'm just going to lean over onto the side a little bit. Now, I'm just going to roll back and forth. Now, you can do one leg at a time or both legs, depending on what feels better. in terms of kind of it's sometimes it feels a little bit painful, so you want to make sure that you can build a tolerance towards it. And the other big thing is breathing. Okay, allow your central nervous system to turn off a little bit. Now, if I find a spot that's really tender, I'm going to bend my knee. I'm going to extend it. So now, instead of rolling, I'm doing a gliding technique. Okay, so I'm gliding over the knot, and then once I'm done, I'm just going to roll back and forth again. Maybe find another spot and do the same thing again. From here, I'm going to work on the IT bands. Now, the IT band itself is not necessarily muscle, it's more fascia, so it tends to be a little bit tighter in nature, kind of similar to your plantar fascia. So when people complain about plantar fasciitis, it is the connective tissue in the bottom of the foot, and again, there's a multitude of different reasons why it could be acting up. But especially for runners, this tends to be really helpful for them. Now again, there's always going to be a tender area, so just kind of take it easy. Now, find the spot, bend the knee, okay, do that gliding technique, and then kind of go back and forth, trying to find, again, any little bit of tenderness going on in that area. Now, the last thing I'm going to do, or the last two things, is going to work on the T-spine, the thoracic spine, and your lats, so it's the muscle pretty much underneath your armpits. So I'm going to work on the T-spine, again going from the side. So I'm going to rest the foam roller right along kind of the bottom of my rib cage, and I'm going to pop my hips up. I'm going to go one of two ways. I can either give myself a nice big hug, or I can bring my arms over my head, okay? Or you can do both. So it's not like you're just stuck to doing one or the other. You can do both. Now again, take your time. You might be so tight in that area that you actually start to kind of hear little like pops or like cracks, like kind of like cracking your knuckles. As long as there's no pain, that's fine. But again, the second that there is, or you start to notice that there's continuous pain, I would say go to a doctor or physical therapist and kind of see what's going on and what they can do to resolve that issue. And then the last thing that we're going to do for today, again, there's a multitude of different spots for the foam roller and different areas that you can target with the foam roller, but you can also use a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball to kind of get a little bit more into like the finer areas of the musculature. So the last thing I'm going to do today is going to be the lats. So again, it's the muscle right under the armpit. Now with this, you're going to extend the arm overhead, you're going to bring the hips up, and you're going to roll back and forth. Now again, you may start to notice that it might be a very tender area, okay? For some people, the look on their face looks like they've just been wowed. So what I want you to focus on is, again, don't apply so much pressure, just take it easy to start off. And you can always build up again, build that resistance over time where it's not as painful and you can bear through it. The other thing I want you to really focus on again is making sure that you're breathing, okay? Your central nervous system's trying to tell your brain, hey, there's something terrible happening to you. Let's freak out. Let's go through our fight or flight pattern and then figure out where to go from there. But by breathing, you're kind of letting the central nervous system turn off the knob a little bit or turn on the dial. So that way the pain is not as alarming for the body and it's just more or less kind of, you can kind of calm yourself down. So if you have any questions, please go to roadtostrengthtraining.com. Again, book a free consultation, and I would love to be able to speak with you sometime soon.